Alright guys, new Master Duel deck profile. We are doing Blue Eyes today. I haven't done one of these in a while. I don't think I've done a Blue Eyes deck for Master Duel yet. Just because it's been kind of hard getting some of these cards. But yes, we have a Master Duel Blue Eyes deck profile. This is a Diamond deck profile. I've got some Diamond gameplay, all that good stuff for you. Yeah, this deck's actually quite good in Diamond. Turns out it's pretty good against the meta. It's kind of like a trap build of the deck. I'm not really playing the combo build just because Max C is really, really annoying. Going second is like atrocious. Whenever you try to go second, your opponent Max sees you. They just keep drawing into more and more hand traps. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just play like a control trap version of the deck. And it's actually really, really strong. You've got Goes in Match, which beats stuff like Sword Soul. You've got Skill Drain, which just beats everybody. The only rough matchup you'll sometimes have is Eldritch. Other than that, generally speaking, you will win most of the duels. But yeah, let's get started. Here we've got 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Obviously, you get 2 free from the starter deck, which is cool. And then the third one you actually got to buy. It's kind of like a mainstay in the deck. Yeah, you got 3 copies of that. We've got 3 copies of White Stone of Ancients. This is your only real normal summon in the deck. You typically will normal summon this card and either link it away for a link Karibo, or you just leave it in hand and you can use Dragon's Ravine, send it to the graveyard to send another one to the graveyard, and then get 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons onto your board. So that card's actually pretty good there. We played 2 copies of Max C just because I don't like ever seeing multiple Max Cs. They get called by the grave 99% of the time anyway, so the last thing we want is to draw 2 of them and then get called by the grave, because then you just lose. It's terrible. So we played 2 copies of that. We played 1 copies of Dragunity Remus. There's multiple reasons why I played 1 copy of this and then 2 copies of Dragon's Ravine. Number 1, this is an SR and these are UR, so we're just saving money just right off the bat. But more importantly, the reason that I play 1 Dragunity Remus and 2 copies of Dragon's Ravine is because sometimes you'll have like a really, really monster heavy hand. So you can just activate Ravine, discard for example, a stone, and then you can add the Remus and then discard Remus to get another copy of Ravine, and then discard another stone to send a dragon to the graveyard. And then basically by doing that, you'll have 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons on your board at the end of your turn. You'll have 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons on board, and you would have deck thinned by over 6 cards into your deck, which is really cool. Yeah, deck thinning is obviously very important in control builds because you will go into grind games and you want to draw powerful trap cards that actually win you games. So doing that. Then we've got 3 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is really good in the deck. There's no Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is really good. It hasn't come out yet, but what it basically allows you to do is protect all of your spawn trap cards, all of your monsters, and what this card essentially allows you to do is to protect all of your set spells and traps, and then you can reveal and protect your set spells and traps, and then if you activate a spell or trap card, or either player, you or your opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can summon him. If he was revealed while summoned, you can set any spell and trap card in the game into your back row, which is really, really cool, because you can basically just set a pot and then next turn just activate it. You can set fusion deployment. I mean, any of these cards. It really doesn't matter which one. The only drawback is that the card gets banished at the end of the turn, so you should avoid trying to set like a floodgate or something like that, because obviously they're going to banish themselves, so it's pointless. Generally the best thing to set is the Pot of Prosperity. Next we play 1 Foolish Burial. I'm probably going to take this out. The only thing usually Foolish Burial is the White Stone of Ancients. You Foolish Burial that, and then you get a Blue Eyes at the end phase. I was playing this before. I'm probably going to take this out and just replace it with 1 more Dragon's Ravine, or just a stronger trap card. 1 copy of Return of the Dragon Lords. This is another card I just set off the Heavenly Prison. There's really no reason to play more than 1 copy of this, just because, like I said, you have things like True Light, so that can just special summon Blue Eyes White Dragons back to the field for you for free, summon from graveyard or hand, so you generally do not need to have more than 1 copy of Return of the Dragon Lords. We're playing 1 copy of Bingo Machine Go. This is mostly, we just set this off of the True Light. It's basically an extender, where extender are kind of like a good card to have. If you don't have anything to do with the True Light, you can always just set the bingo machine go, and then next turn reveal 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, and now you're back into your Blue Eyes engine, which is really cool because basically opening True Light is essentially like opening a Blue Eyes White Dragon on top of that. So Bingo Machine is very good. Next, we've got Fusion Deployment. We play 2 copies of this. This is good. I actually got these before the structure deck came out. I had to pay full UR value. You guys don't have to do that. You can just buy the Cyber Dragon structure deck, and you just get these included in that structure deck. Basically, what this card allows you to do is you can reveal a fusion monster, so like Blue Eyes Ultimate, or Neo Blue Eyes White Dragon, or Twin Burst. You reveal the fusion monster, and then you can summon one of the materials directly to the field, which in our case is the Blue Eyes White Dragon. You can just spit a Blue Eyes White Dragon onto the board. This card's really good. You can even use it under Dogmatica Punishment, because Dogmatica Punishment prevents you from special summoning from the extra deck, but you're not special summoning from the extra deck, you're just summoning a monster from the deck. Also, what's cool about Fusion Deployment is it's actually searchable. Predaplant Chimera Felicia, if this card is sent to the graveyard during the next standby phase, you can search a card that says Fusion in its name, which this happens to have Fusion in its name. And the way you send the Chimera Felicia to the graveyard is through Dogmatica Punishment. So you activate Dogmatica Punishment, target a monster with 2500 or less attack, which send this Predaplant Chimera Felicia, and then you get to search Fusion Deployment. It's actually super duper plus, and then you can summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon directly from your deck or hand, and that's actually important, or hand, because you can do a lot of cool tricks, like you can activate Stone of Ancients, bounce a Blue Eyes from the graveyard to your hand, and then special summon the Blue Eyes White Dragon using Fusion Deployment. So it's a lot of cool stuff. We play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Thank God it's only an SR, but I'll be 100% honest with you, this deck would be better if I played Pot of Extravagance. 100% it would be better, but it unfortunately would be kind of expensive because I would have to have 3 copies of Natis, 3 copies of this Predaplant, some kind of fusion monster, and then on top of that I would have to have 3 Linkuribohs and probably 3 copies of Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. So it would be really, from a gem standpoint, very expensive. So I'm kind of settling for the Prosperity. But if I could obviously run Extravagance, and if you have the money to do it, then run the Extravagance. Next we play Dragon's Ravine. I've already talked about this. Dragon's Ravine is very good. You can play Dragon Shrine too. I was playing Dragon Shrine in earlier builds. The problem with Dragon Shrine is sometimes Dragon Shrine will be ashed and you just lose because the Dragon Shrine gets ashed and it's over for you. The cool thing about Dragon's Ravine is even if you open with a White Stone of Ancients in hand or a Blue Eyes in hand, you just ditch one of them as cost for the activation of this card, and then your opponent will ash this, but you have already put a White Stone of Ancients or a Blue Eyes White Dragon in the graveyard, so it doesn't even matter that you did that. That's what is really cool about Dragon's Ravine. The only thing that sucks with Dragon's Ravine sometimes is when you open a hand full of cards that you don't want to discard and then you open the Dragon's Ravine. But generally speaking, you have quite a few cards that you want to discard. You want to discard Blue Eyes White Dragon, you want to discard Stone of Ancients, and actually it's really cool to discard the Ultimate Creature of Destruction because this card has an effect where if a Blue Eyes White Dragon is summoned, you can set this back to your field. So discarding this is actually perfectly fine because you'll just get it back anyway when you summon the Blue Eyes. It's literally like almost like a no cost. There's 7 cards that you want to discard, so yeah, pretty good there. Then we've got 1 copy of Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. This card is extremely good in the deck. Basically what it does is all of your non-effect monsters, namely Blue Eyes, are unaffected by monster effects. On top of that, if your opponent special summons an effect monster, you draw 2 cards. That is just super good. It's like Pot of Greed for the deck. Usually when you go into the grind game with this deck, you use Dragon's Ravine, you'll send these to the graveyard, they'll summon these guys, and then you'll basically run out of things to do, in which case you just activate the Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi and then just sit on that instead. This card is actually really good too, Piercing the Darkness. This effect to gain attack points isn't really that great because your Blue Eyes is already 3,000 attack. There's not a lot of monsters that your Blue Eyes can't beat. But this other effect to draw a card is actually really good. Basically what it does is when you summon a normal monster that is not a token, when you normal or special summon a normal monster, you get to draw a card. That effect is actually really good in combination with True Light because you're basically summoning a normal monster every turn, and this is usually how you win the grind game. If you have this on board, you will win the duel. Every time you resolve it, it's like a free draw, and then on top of that, the attack boost effect isn't like the worst effect ever, just because under skill drain to have a Blue Eyes White Dragon that essentially can't be destroyed is really, really strong. Then we play one copy of Ultimate Creature Destruction. This is another card that you can set off for True Light, and it basically makes your Blue Eyes indestructible in every single way. It's unaffected, can't be destroyed by battle, can't be destroyed by card effect, can't be affected by anything other than its own effect, so it's really good. Play two Dogmatic Punishments, don't want to draw two in an opening hand just because it's a hard once per turn. But basically, this is a really strong like engine starter. Unfortunately, in this game, Nadir Servant is limited to one, which I think is really dumb. I think it should be, it definitely should be like a 2 or 3. Like, you never ever see anybody activating a Deer Servant just because it's like needlessly limited to one. So it's not really worth playing the Dogmatic Ecclesia or the Nadir's Servant, unfortunately. I really would. I would include that in the deck, but being that they're limited, it's kind of pointless. So you play this. This card's really good. You destroy a monster, and then on top of that, you can either send a Tis to destroy an additional card. You can send Chimera Flesia to search a fusion deployment. You can send Wind Pegasus at Ignister, which will, when a card you control is destroyed, it can shuffle a card your opponent controls back into the deck. You can send, additionally, you can send the Ferjeet, which will allow you to draw a card and then put one back to the bottom of your deck. All of these have different utility effects that are useful in their own way. And then, of course, I forgot about this. Neoblue Eyes White Dragon. This card gives targeting protection to one of your Blue Eyes cards, which is right here. Yeah, it negates, if your opponent activates a card that targets a Blue Eyes monster, you can banish this card from the graveyard and then destroy it. And also, it's 4,500 attack. So yeah, pretty good. Under skill drain, you've got this guy in the graveyard, and then you've got like a Blue Eyes on the field. It's pretty hard to out a Blue Eyes White Dragon. So we play that. That's the Dogmatic Punishment. 3 Judgment, just because, unfortunately, everyone is main decking Harpy's Feather Duster, and it seems like everyone always draws Harpy's Feather Duster. So Solemn Judgment is definitely a must play. We already play this to protect our back row. We play this to additionally protect our back row. Then we've got this other card to protect our back row. You know, it's incredible. You play 3 copies of this, 3 copies of this, that's 6 cards. 2 more, we play 8 copies to counter Harpy's Feather Duster, and yet our opponent somehow opens it when we don't draw them. But yeah, this is another way to play around Harpy's Feather Duster. This is essentially like a Solemn Judgment when you have a non-effect monster on the field, which is of course the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Basically, you can negate a Monster Explorer trap effect, but what you have to watch out for is while you can negate those things, this card does not destroy the card that is being negated. It just negates. So if your opponent, like normal summon, activates something and you negate the activation, it just negates the activation. It does not destroy the card, so it still stays on board. So you got to watch out. It's better to stop like spells and traps with this than monster effects, for example. But still a very good card. Also has an additional effect where if it's destroyed by card effect, you can special summon a non-effect monster from your extra deck, which in our case is going to be the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. It's within archetype, and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon with like Ultimate Creature of Destruction is like really tough to out because it's 4,500 attack. Basically, your opponent's just going to have to end their turn. Then we've got, yeah, the Blue Eyes Ultimate under skill drain. I mean, don't even get me started. That's just unbelievable. 4,500 attack. How do you even out that? We've got 3 copies of skill drain. Playing under skill drain is great with Blue Eyes just because you don't have any effects. So it doesn't even matter that they're negated. So Blue Eyes obviously has no effects. This Lord of Heavenly Prison activates and resolves in the hand. So it's all one effect. You activate, special summon itself, and then you get to set a card directly from the deck. That all resolves. It's one simultaneous effect. So it all will resolve even under skill drain. It's a really strong effect. So you'll be able to set like Pot of Prosperity and all this other stuff under skill drain. Play 3 goes in match. I wasn't playing this before, but it's really good against Sword Soul. It's a 1 card out to Sword Soul. It literally just beats Sword Soul. Yeah, they can't do anything. Like they activate a Moyi and they're locked into waters, and most of the time, unless you're playing against someone that's a lot better than they need to be, they're going to be locked into waters and they will just end their turn. If they summon the fire dude, they're going to lock themselves into fires. They can't go into Baron de Fleur. Like, this card is really strong against that deck, and generally it's actually really strong against a lot of decks. As soon as your opponent touches the extra deck and summons something that is not native to their attribute, their regular attribute, that's when you flip the goes in match. They're locked into whatever they just summoned, and now they're stuck and they can't really do anything. And now you put a timer on them, which is really cool. Like I was playing as a Tri Brigade player, and I flipped this on them when they had Appaloosa, and they literally could not get rid of their own Appaloosa, and they couldn't activate Lightning Storm because they controlled a face-up monster. So I had them stuck on this Appaloosa with 0 attack for like 4 turns, and of course I just waited, drew enough Blue Eyes, and I just OTK'd them because Appaloosa does absolutely nothing against Blue Eyes, because yeah, Blue Eyes, yeah, it just does nothing against Blue Eyes because Blue Eyes has no effects anyway. So yeah, 3 copies of Goes in match. And then True Light. This is like the main kind of like main card of our deck. This is what our main engine of the deck. It is really, really, really good. Basically, what it does is it has multiple effects. Number 1, your Blue Eyes White Dragons can't be targeted. That effect isn't really like that great. It doesn't come up all that often. Sometimes you even forget that it's on the card, to be honest with you, and so does your opponent. But yeah, your Blue Eyes White Dragons can't be targeted. It has another effect where if this leaves the field and is sent to the graveyard, it destroys all monsters you control. So that's actually better than the Dark Magician version of this card, because the Dark Magician version of this card just needs to leave the field. This card has to specifically go to graveyard. So if it gets banished, you don't lose your field. If this card gets sent back to the hand, you don't lose your field. If it gets shuffled into the deck, you don't lose your field. I had one situation when someone used a Nightmare Unicorn and they shuffled this back into my deck, and my field was still around. It was really great. So yeah, that is one drawback to it, is it can blow up your own board. It then has another effect where if a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand or graveyard once per turn. That effect does not target, so your opponent can't just call by the grave. It just resolves at the end. So your opponent, you can activate this. Your opponent called by the grave a Blue Eyes in the graveyard, and you just special summon one from your hand, or just special summon a different one from your graveyard if you need to. That effect is really good. It's probably the main effect that we use. Then it has another effect where it sets a spell and trap card directly from your deck to the field. That can't be ashed, which is also really cool because it sets directly from the deck. So you can set things like Bingo Machine Go and Ultimate Creature of Destruction. There are actually more cards that you can set with this, but unfortunately they're just not quite as good, like Destined Rivals. But Destined Rivals, I always feel like it just, by the time you actually get to put it on your field and actually get to use it, it is already too late and your opponent has already set up a board. It's just not good enough. Skill Drain is just better than Destined Rivals in every way. Impermanence is better than Destined Rivals in every way, so unfortunately we don't play that. But yes, very good effects, both hard ones per turns. Yep, True Light, very good card. For extra deck, we played 2 copies of Elder Entity Natis. Crazy enough, I crafted this Natis, and I unlocked the pack, and then I pulled this Natis out of it, totally by chance. Yeah, we played 2 copies of Natis, can lower it. Most of the time, this is the first card I banish off of Prosperity, my second Natis. Usually don't use 2 in a duel, but occasionally you do need to go into it. Predaplant searches, like I said, Fusion Deployment. Twin Burst is actually kind of decent in Master Duel just because we don't have Tyrant and Dragon yet. We don't have Ultimate Fusion. So this card's actually kind of decent. It can help you out things that are difficult to out. If your opponent summons like a really big monster that just has a ton of attack, you just summon the Blue Eyes Twin Burst, attack it. Like somebody summoned a Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax against me that couldn't be destroyed by card effects. So, and it always gained attack. So I just made Twin Burst attacked into it, and then it just banished it. After the battle concluded, I took a lot of damage, but I still got rid of it. Ultimate Blue Eyes Ultimate, like the original Blue Eyes Ultimate, we play that because we play the Unrivaled Tenyi, and it can special summon if they pop our back row, and also we can just reveal it for Fusion Deployment. We play Neoblue Eyes. We mostly just play this for the Dogmatic Punishment and for the Graveyard effect. So we can out a big monster, really good under Skill Drain. No matter what they summon, you can just out the monster. And then on top of that, of course, the negation, targeting protection for Blue Eyes. This we've talked about. We've basically just got, if a card we control gets destroyed, we can shuffle a card our opponent controls into the deck. Then we have Silver Eyes, Azure Eyes, Silver Dragon, and then we've got the Spirit Dragon. I rarely go into these. Like I just keep them in the extra deck for options, just because, like I said, we're playing Prosperity, so they are in there for the options. One Hope Harbinger. Sometimes you just play against an annoying deck and it just comes up like a Sky Striker or something, you just summon this and put them on a timer. For example, they can only activate one spell per turn, and you take it, so it doesn't hit the graveyard. One Link Karibo should be multiple Link Karibos, but unfortunately is you are one of the best cards in the deck. Yeah, normal summon Ancients, make a Link Karibo, summon a Blue Eyes. Pretty simple stuff. Same thing with All Mirage, normal summon, make an All Mirage, and then you contribute this and make a monster. So make it so a monster is can't be destroyed by card effects this turn, which is cool because you can like make this and then tribute this and then make it so Blue Eyes can't be destroyed by card effects. So decent protection for your Blue Eyes White Dragon. It does come up sometimes. You play one copy of Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This card is really good also under Skill Drain. It's actually really good under Skill Drain, goes in. Like, it's really good under all of these cards. This card activates. It has an effect that activates on the field, but it resolves in the graveyard. So it has an effect where all it takes is 2 dragons to summon it, and you contribute a monster or a card you control, and then bounce a card your opponent controls non-targeting, which is really good. And then actually it actually bounces a card. It bounces a card on either player's side of the field, which is I didn't even realize. But yeah, you bounce a card on the field back to the graveyard, and then it has another effect where if it's tributed, you can special summon a dragon from your deck, and it has 0 attack, 0 defense. That does not matter because you can just summon a Stone of Ancients, and then following turn just link it away and get another Blue Eyes White Dragon. This card is one of the most important cards in the extra deck. Really good. Resolves fully under Skill Drain. It can bounce things under Skill Drain, summon under Skill Drain. Really good. This just gives you a draw under the Dogmatic Punishment. You just draw and then put to the bottom of the deck. And then Lina is just another Link monster that you could play. In reality, I'd probably play 2 Heretics if I had them, but what Lina basically allows you to do is steal a light monster from your opponent's graveyard. Again, this is one of those things that does come up sometimes. It just won't come up very often. If you're playing against Cyber Dragons, for example, it might come up. What you have to remember is True Light summons you a Blue Eyes every single turn, so you basically have infinite Blue Eyes White Dragons to summon, so sometimes it's better just grab a monster out of your opponent's graveyard. This is really good against Eldritch, actually. That's how I beat Eldritch one time. I just took their Eldritch the Golden Lord, and yeah, they were just stuck. They couldn't really do anything. I took their Eldritch the Golden Lord, and yeah, they really couldn't make any other plays because they couldn't get to an Eldritch the Golden Lord again. But yes, that is the main deck. Let me show you guys some awesome replays. Alright, so here we've got our very first replay. This one is against Sword Soul. This is basically like, I would say like a top 5 deck, if not a top 3 deck in the game right now. Just everybody's playing Sword Soul. It doesn't matter what part of the ladder you're in. Obviously, if you're in Diamond, you're playing a lot of Sword Soul like I am. But yeah, this is probably one of the most prevalent decks. Extremely consistent. Puts up really formidable boards, multiple negates. This guy's obviously going to go into the Baron de Fleur. One of the best things to open with. They've got the Baron de Fleur, so now they're going to use the Sword Soul of Muye to make a Synchro 8. He absolutely shocks me here because he goes into the Omega, because I was just not expecting this, and of course he snipes the White Stone of Ancients. Which is actually really annoying. Typically, they will go into the other monsters, but this guy actually went into the Ciphering Lord Omega, which is better against our deck. We're going to activate the Lord of Heavenly Prison. He will activate the Baron de Fleur to negate, because obviously it's going to be very annoying for him to play through a bunch of back row if it can't be destroyed by card effects, and then the Baron de Fleur is going to be turned off. He's going to activate the Pot of Prosperity here. And I'm sorry, we're going to activate Pot of Prosperity. We're going to look at what our options are. We're going to grab the Dogmatic of Punishment, just because at the moment I think that's just a better card. We're going to pass back to him, and during the standby phase, we will get our card back, but it's now unusable. He's going to get a Psy-Frame. He's going to target the card in the graveyard with the Baron de Fleur. I will chain Maxi immediately, and then goes in match, making him choose between Light and the Baron de Fleur here. Because obviously Baron de Fleur, Wind, Light, and then whatever he targeted in the graveyard, I think it was Muye, is a water. So no matter what he chooses to keep, the Muye is not coming back, and the Baron de Fleur or the Psy-Frame Lord Omega, one of them is going to stay, but not both. So he's going to choose Lights, and he's going to keep Lights on board here. Not sure if it's the right decision, but I mean, I guess in a slowdown game state, Cyframe Lord Omega is better. He's going to attack, then he's going to, in the main phase 2, activate the Cyframe Lord Omega. Another thing about Cyframe Lord Omega is it must stay on the field in order to resolve its effect to banish itself and banish my card in hand. This is not a cost. It happens on resolution. So we're going to activate the Dogmatic of Punishment to pop it, which will allow us to... which will basically allow us, which will basically allow it to not resolve and keep our Whitestone of Ancients in the hand. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to pop his card. We're going to send probably a Blue Eyes Ultimate or something. Yeah, Blue Eyes Ultimate to the graveyard. That effect's not going to resolve because it's no longer on the field. He's going to activate Cyframe Lord Omega to put 2 cards back. He's going to normal summon the Muye, reveal, summon a token here. Now, this part completely shocks me because I thought I had him. And out of nowhere, this dude just drops a Dragite onto the field, which is a water monster. Again, undergoes in match. Any other Swords Soul player would have just lost here. This dude plays Dragite. What are the chances? And this card is really good against our deck because he'll be able to basically negate a spawn trap card every single turn. This is like done deal for us. So we're definitely going to have the Solemn Judgment here. We cannot play through this Dragite. He's going to end his turn, and he's going to pass back to us. We are now free to play. No Omega, no negates, nothing like that. We're going to activate the Remus to discard. He's going to chain the Maxi, so that completely turns off my entire line of play. I was going to discard the Whitestone of Ancients and special summon 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, but now I'm like, screw that, can't do that. I don't want to give him any other cards in this slow down game state, so we're going to set the Stone of Ancients. He's going to summon the Incredible Khaleesi. He's going to tribute it, and I'm like, what is he possibly going to summon? This dude plays the Iris Sword, so like, what are the chances? This guy like plays the perfect card to like beat our deck. He's going to attack over the Whitestone of Ancients. We're going to activate Skill Drain before he goes into the end phase, just because, or before he goes into the end phase, just because the Sword Soul actually would allow him to draw 2 cards if we special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from our deck. So we don't want him to do that. Before we even get there, we'll just activate the Skill Drain now to try to avoid any travesties. Since he did destroy this turn, we're going to be able to special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon to our side of the field. We'll summon that. And now we are not playing under any hand traps or anything weird like that. We're going to activate the Fusion Deployment to special summon a Blue Eyes by revealing a Fusion monster. There goes the Blue Eyes, and we now have 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons. And I'm not even going to bother with the Dragon's Ravine because we have nothing to discard, unfortunately. We're going to put some damage on the board. Our opponent's going to draw for turn. I still don't know what this face-down card is. It's probably like a Call by the Grave or something like that. But they're going to summon in Khaleesi, and they're going to be like, screw this, we are done. There's nothing I can do here. Alright, this is video number 2, or I should say gameplay number 2 for Blue Eyes. Yep, so in this one we're playing against Adamanticators. This guy's playing the Sekka's Light package. I don't know why Sekka's Light got hit. It should not have get hit. Like, yes, it makes a formidable board, but it stops you from playing like cool stuff like Call by the Grave. Right now he's going to activate Doki Doki, and as soon as I saw that Sekka's Light activated, I exhaled the biggest sigh of relief because Sekka's Light does absolutely... Because he's playing Sekka's Light, we know he's not playing Call by the Grave, we know he's not playing Cross-Out Designator. I exhaled extremely fast because we have our Maxi we know is going off. Unless he has an Ash Blossom in hand, this card is basically live. So we're going to Maxi automatically on the Doki Doki because he's going to summon from deck. Obviously, he's already discarded for cost. Yep, he's going to summon that. We're going to draw immediately, and he's smart, so he's just going to pass. He's not going to let us do a whole lot more. He ends on an interruption, which is the Walkie Meru Guardian. It actually does negate an effect. We're going to use the Bingo Machine Go. We know he doesn't have an Ash in his hand because he would have ashed the card previously. We're going to grab the True Light. Pot of Prosperity. We're going to see right off the top of our deck what we have. We need to get to a way to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon or a Blue Eyes White Dragon. We do see a lot of good stuff, but we do want to get to the Blue Eyes Red Dragon. We have nothing on board right now. We could have grabbed the Floodgate of some kind, but I think getting to Blue Eyes is probably more important. Link Karibo using the stone, activate Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi, and then we're going to just set 3 pass, activate the effect in Graveyard to summon a Blue Eyes using our stone. Summon that out in attack mode. Typically I actually summon in defense mode. This one I guess I just summon in attack mode for some weird reason. He's going to summon the Researcher, use Doki Doki to summon a copy of he's going to summon Doki Doki, Summon the Meow Meow. Meow Meow I am going to Judgment, because if you Judgment Meow Meow, it doesn't count as a Prank Kids monster getting summoned. So Roxy's won't resolve. This will leave the field, and he won't be able to get a bunch of other free resources. So we basically stopped our opponent from summoning 3 extra monsters with this one Judgment. Of course, we did draw Flawless Perfection and Tenyi. We drew 2 cards because our opponent summoned an effect monster, while we control a non-effect monster. So right here, we'll continue Judgment with these beautiful new animations. Get that off the board. He's going to summon the Kawaki Mirror Researcher. Right here, I'm going to chain the effect of Ultimate Creature of Destruction on the summon of Quackimera's Supplier. The reason that we are actually doing this seems kind of foolish, but if you look at the levels on his board, he's got a level 4 and a level 4. That right there basically makes a Borreload Savage Dragon. He's got a level 2, a level 4, and then another level 4. That is a Baron de Fleur. If he makes one of those, we basically can't activate this card. If we try to activate it, they'll just negate it. So you might as well activate it now before he has some sort of Omni Negate on the board. That's why I kind of just had to preemptively strike there, activate it. Even though there was nothing really threatening us, technically there is about to be something that's going to threaten us, just based on the tuners and non-tuners on the board. So we wanted to make sure that we got there. He's going to activate the Adamancipator Researcher, or Analyzer, I should say. He does whiff, but I mean, he's got so many resources on board and in hand that it doesn't even matter. He's going to summon the Seeker. He's going to go into the Galliant Granite. He obviously knows we don't have any hand traps or interruptions at this point. He's going to add a Rock Monster, which is going to be Block Dragon. This card is just absolutely insane and gives him so many resources. He's going to use Researcher here. He's going to go again. He is going to whiff, but that's because he just summoned so many cards already out onto the field that it doesn't even matter if he whiffs or not. He's going to use Block Dragon and Seeker to go into the Baron de Fleur. That is a killer combination. You summon a Baron de Fleur, and on top of that, you get to search 3 more cards to your hand. I mean, that is just unbelievable. Weeping Doll, Researcher, and Gigantus will give him quite a bit here. He's going to activate the effect to pop our back row. We're going to chain the True Light. He's going to choose not to negate it, which is completely fine with me. Don't forget, our Blue Eyes is unaffected by everything. We're going to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon so that we can reset our copy of the Creature of Destruction back to the field, because we're going to need it to out his board later on. Obviously, his board is going to be very strong. He has a ton of resources at hand and on the field, in the graveyard. He's got a crazy board building here. He's going to summon the Borreload Savage Dragon, which is going to have another Omni Negate. So now he has 2 Omni Negates. He can pop with Baron de Fleur. He's got a lot going on. He's going to go ahead and summon the Union Carrier, and the Union Carrier will allow him to equip whatever he wants. Normally, they would equip Block Dragon. They don't even need to, because they're already past that point. They just equip the Buster Dragon, which now we're locked out of our extra deck. He's going to summon a couple more monsters. He's going to go off the top of his deck again. He's going to be able to at least summon this Doki Doki if he wants to, which is going to be quite helpful for him. He's got a ton of resources. He's going to use that. He's going to go right here into the IP Masquerena. I don't know why this card doesn't have an animation. It's a really cool looking card. And now he's going to summon the Block Dragon, and Block Dragon gives him protection also, if you didn't know. So now our turn starts. We don't have like too bad of a hand. We have to bait out multiple interruptions or multiple negations. We're going to activate the Return of the Dragon Lords. He's going to negate it, but I was using that more for the graveyard effect than I was for the actual summoning effect. The summoning effect like helps and all, but the graveyard effect of the protection effect is even better. We're going to banish to special summon a Blue Eyes White, to add a Blue Eyes White Dragon back to the hand. He will negate it with his Baron de Fleur. Again, he has 2 Omni Negates, and he has a ton more interruptions with the IP Masquerena. We're going to activate Fusion Deployment, revealing a Blue Eyes in order to special summon a Blue Eyes from our deck. He's going to activate the IP Masquerena, which, don't forget, our field spell allows us to draw 2 cards every time he summons an effect monster. That effect can be activated during either player's turn. So he's going to summon the Nightmare Unicorn, targeting our back row, and we're going to be able to draw 2 cards. We're going to chain the Ultimate Creature Destruction to make one of our Blue Eyes Red Dragons unaffected by all card effects, can be destroyed by battle, and destroys the monster that it battles. So we're going to draw 2 cards. Great draws. We're going to attack the Borreload Savage. We're going to take some damage here. We're very low on life points. We're going to wipe out the Baron de Fleur and the Borreload Savage Dragon and the Buster Lock all in one. Now we have some really good cards face down. Skill Drain, Goes in Match, and True Light. He's going to go into an Axis Code Talker right here. And fortunately for us, we can't respond to Axis Code Talker, but he's going to chain the effect of Unicorn, not Unicorn, he's going to chain the effect of Block Dragon as Chain Link 2, so now we actually can respond. So we're going to be able to draw 2 cards, and we're going to be able to Skill Drain, which will leave him at 2300 attack. And at this point, again, the problem with Sekka's Light is you don't play any spell and trap removal of cards, so he basically will lose this duel. Technically, he could have used the Axis Code Talker and sent itself to the graveyard to pop the Skill Drain if he really wanted to. But at that point, he's just so low in resources. He's gone into all of his strong extra deck monsters, and that probably would have just resulted in a loss. All right, so this is the last replay. The other 2 replays that I showed is me going second. This is me going first, so it'll actually show like what the deck can do under optimal conditions. We're going to use the Pot of Prosperity. We're going to banish 6 as always. Now we're going to reveal the top cards on our deck. Whether they ashed it or not is really irrelevant because our hand is really, really good. But we're going to add the Piercing the Darkness because that'll give us essentially a resource every single turn, which is really cool. It's like a free draw, free draw, free draw. Yeah, we have a pretty good hand. We have the Judgment in case they draw the Harpy, stuff like that. We're going to activate True Light immediately because we want to draw, see if we draw into a Maxi. That is why I'm activating the True Light now. Also, they've normal summoned, so I know I'm not going to get Lightning Stormed. So we're going to activate the Piercing the Darkness, draw a card. We didn't draw into the Maxi. He's going to use his 2 materials to go into the Cherubini. He's going to activate Cherubini. He's going to target itself. I'm just going to activate the Skill Drain. I'm not really sure why I even activated the Skill Drain right here. Cherubini's effects didn't really negatively impact us, so I'm going to negate that anyway. He's going to use the effect of Graft to summon a Seer, and then he's going to go into the Link 3. Probably just get a bigger monster on board to protect himself, which is going to be the Rusty Bardish. And then he's going to use the effect of Seer to summon back. So he's going to have that board. It's obviously can't do anything through Skill Drain. It's why this deck is so good. If your opponent doesn't draw Harpy's Feather Duster, and we do play the outs to Harpy's Feather Duster, it's tough for them to play. We're going to activate the effect of Bingo Machine Go. We're going to reveal, try to get a Blue Eyes. We do end up getting a Blue Eyes. We're going to activate the Prosperity. We should have attacked first and then used Prosperity, but I mean, it really doesn't matter. We're just going to grab the Dragon Shrine off the top, try to get as many Blue Eyes on board as possible. We do have the Solemn Judgment, so we're not stressing about anything. We're going to use the Piercing of the Darkness to attack over the Cherubini, do some extra damage, and then we're just going to set the Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi, use the Blue Eyes, the Stone to summon a Blue Eyes. He's going to, of course, have the Maxi, which will get him a free draw. But at this point, he needs to draw multiple Harpy's Feather Dusters, multiple Cosmic Cyclones to even be able to do anything. So it's pretty tough, a tough situation for him. He's going to activate the effect of Cosmic Cyclone to banish our Skill Drain. We're going to use the Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi to protect it. And obviously, it's not going to resolve. They still have to pay the cost, the 1,000 life points. He's going to set a monster. He's going to activate the Phantom Knights. What is that? Cloak in the graveyard to add a Boots. And then he's going to special summon a Boots. He's going to end his turn. He's going to basically build up some resources. We're going to activate the special summon of Blue Eyes. He's going to Maxi again. So now he has more opportunities to draw into Spawn Trap card removal, like Cosmic Cyclone. But again, we're just going to summon a Blue Eyes. And he's going to draw. His turn's going to end. We're going to draw again. This is why the Piercing of the Darkness is so good. It gives you a free resource every single turn. Pretty good in the deck. Now we're going to use the Contact Fusion to summon a Twin Burst. We're going to use Return of the Dragon Lords to summon a Blue Eyes. And we basically have more than enough to OTK our opponent. We're going to use Piercing the Darkness to draw again. We're going to use the True Light to summon again, and our opponent will just concede and scoop. And as you can see, there was no way that our opponent was winning that duel. We had way too much going on for them to catch up in the resource game. But that is the last replay. If you'd like to see more replays of Blue Eyes gameplay, just let me know. And if you want to see another Blue Eyes deck profile when the eventual new support comes out, let me know. But thank you for watching and have a great day. La, 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 la.